Hey there, welcome to Something About Tabletop. I'm Master Bly, and with me today is
The illustrious hobo.
so illustrious, the sexy one might say.
The idiot, one might say. The fool.
The fool. We should get you a little jester hat in the pixel art that you do. Just
Yeah.
okay. Anyway, today this little discussion that we are going to be having is going to be about power gaming, and I guess the discussion that's been happening in the RPG community as of late. I myself and Hobo have at least, hopefully not too much to say about it, but enough to say that I got a little bit annoyed about what was going on, which is, I guess, power gaming shaming and the misrepresentation of what power gaming is.
Yeah, pretty much. It's getting kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, like, pretty much. I mean, when dealing with any argument, and anyone that makes these videos or is going to make these videos, and you're seeing this one first, please put down your definition of what you feel is power gaming, because I'm watching these and people are calling power gamers people that are just assholes. That's not a power gamer. Someone being a dickhead can be any kind of player. It is not the same. Power gamers aren't automatically dickheads. Sure, I will admit right here, right now, there can be a fair amount of bad power gamers. But who cares? That's not what we're talking about.
I think the case for most people just simply has the fact that because they don't get along with them because they have such a vastly different playstyle that they just immediately view them as bad players.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll put down my definition so I don't be hypocritical here. In my opinion, Hobo will go over his definition, but I think it's roughly like mine. A power gamer is someone who wants to quote unquote win. And this isn't always in an RPG. A power gamer can be someone in like a normal game, like a shooter or an RPG. They view it as a game and they want to do everything that is statistically best for them in pure numbers and in terms of power level for their character. They want their character to be the most powerful. They want whatever they do, they want to succeed. They want to win, basically. As much as most of these games, you can't win.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add on to that. I feel very much the same in terms of it all. I feel when we're talking about how win, especially because we kind of just made reference to that, and it's kind of like these games aren't ones with the definitive end that you can win, but I view it much how you would an old RPG game. It's very much a case of you win by defeating whatever obstacle is in front of you. It doesn't matter if there are going to be more obstacles in the path. What's important is that you beat every obstacle.
hmm And I guess we'll also cover what we feel, or I feel, is the stereotypical power gamer. So this person is someone who comes into the game and all they want to do is get through the dungeon, kill the bad guys, level up their character. Their characters will have minimal to no backstory, or they make decisions that contradict their character's backstory just so they can develop further in the game, statistically, numbers wise, higher damage, more AC, whatever they're doing, and that's all they do. Now, this is a fine playstyle, and I hate that people shame this. Because sure, that playstyle doesn't really mesh with me. It certainly doesn't mesh with Hobo that much.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really gel with me too well. I've never been that sort of person. And Adam, what you're saying, really, I mean, for me, I think what defines a power game the best for me is someone, um, from some of the groups I've heard of, it would be the sort of person who grabs a couple of beers, comes around, sits down, their character's backstory is that they're them in the game having fun by I liken it to Munchkin players or like playing
hmm
like a Munchkin game. You know, you kick the door down, you kill the monster, you loot the room, you move on, and you do that like pounding a couple of beers.
Yeah, and of course, there's people that like to hone their skills, get all of the RPG books, and have the most powerful character. And those people find, at least in my opinion, when I was doing it for a while, it's fun to try to min max a character. But I'm also going to put this here. Min-maxers are not automatically power gamers. Hobo and I, even Bluey, all of us are min-maxers. But we are not power gamers, because it's two separate things. Making a good character and playing the game so you always win or do the best that you can and don't care about story are two very different things.
Yeah, for a long time there, min maxer was the dirty word, but now it's moved on to power gamers, and before that it was Munchkin, and the lines between all three of those become extremely blurred. min-maxing and munchkining for a while also became an extremely blurred term. I used to feel that way. It's like, oh no, munchkining is like, I thought I felt like min-maxing was munchkining, but when you actually sit down and set out proper definitions for it, you can see that most people do min-max because there's nothing wrong with wanting to build a statistically effective character. No one wants to play a game, or very few people want to play a game, especially like Shadowrun and Pathfinder, and then just never succeed at anything because you've statistically chosen to impede yourself horribly. I mean, again, some people will do that, like narrativists sometimes will, but for the most part, no one, because it is, to a degree, even if you're role-playing, if you're a role-playing person, no one wants to fail constantly. That's the sucky existence. It's just shit existence.
Yeah, and my main shtickle is all the people, I don't know, just basically misrepresentation of this definition, and because the thing is they are fundamentally different, and at least all the different things. Like the biggest one is, of course, people just shaming power gamers and synonymously calling bad players and power gamers the same thing. That is so annoying because they're not. Dickheads be dickheads, but dickheads can be power gamers. Dickheads can be storytellers. Dickheads can be whatever kind of player you can think of,
Yeah, most certainly. Power gamers, it takes all types, really. I mean, to be honest, even within, I think, narrative-wise, you can find power gamers, because for the most part, even amongst more immersive games, I've met people who would qualify as power gamers, because even when you take statistics away, people will find a definitive, most effective method, and regardless of whether it's to their character or not, will take these paths because that's what they're about.
Yeah, certainly. All right, and another thing is that the reason people find most power gamers disruptive is because it's usually a singular power gamer in a group full of people, average players or narrativists, or people that are there for the storytelling, cooperative storytelling part. But the point is that power gamers aren't. Power gamers are there to win the game and have fun that way. Power gamers work with other power gamers. People there for storytelling are there for other people with storytelling. It's as simple as that. You think it'd be that simple, but I mean, it's because their little niches are like in this, I guess, this hobby. There's people that like different things.
Very much so. I've actually been like, dickheads are not limited to the power gamer, but again, it's because power gamers usually end up in like there being one or two of them in groups. They end up sticking out for the most part, and really that's not fair. Because I've actually talked to a fair amount of people who would probably be classified as power gamers playing in like power gamer environments, and they all have a fucking blast. They all sit around, they all go out, and they all get food and drink, and they just fucking smash it out, and they have a great time. And they're not hurting anyone. They're just this thing. When they play with themselves, or like, it's not saying that they should always be separated. I mean, like, sometimes it's not like, there are power gamers that are tolerable, but most people, for whatever reason, find them, like, I just seem to have sort of an intolerance to them, and that's actually what drives me more mad, because I tend to find that the more intolerant ones killing our hobby are people who do this sort of stuff that look down and go, oh no, you shouldn't be playing RPGs, or you're killing our hobby because you're not playing the right way, or our way, when really, that you don't get to define what an RPG is, or who is allowed to play. You're the one killing the hobby by suffocating who is and isn't allowed to play it. Oh yeah, certainly, most certainly, and I think an important distinction. This is going to go off to the side a little. It's a little weird, but have any of you ever considered what an RPG actually is? I mean, because the word gets thrown around a lot, but we see it used in many things. It's like, oh, it's for role playing. You role play when you play these games, but there are plenty of examples when you don't do that, and then it becomes a question of what does it mean to take on a role, like. When I play fucking old Elder Scrolls games, like, what role am I taking? Am I really interacting because it doesn't react back? What ends up defining, to a degree, what actually consists of a role play? I mean, technically, what anyone's doing is assuming you're just assuming a role. The power game is assuming a role anyway. To say that the world outside of tabletops doesn't have anyone who would power game is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
So if you're using the argument like, oh, it's called a role playing game, and if you're not role playing, then you should get out, then I think you need to have a long sit down and think about what that actually fucking means, because it's not so simple that you can just summarize it thusly.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. Let's all play football. Football is used by many different nations out there, and there's plenty of football where you don't use just your feet. You use your hands, you use your head, you use your entire fucking body, but they all call it football. Rugby can be called football. Australian rules football can be called football. We'd be fucking use our hands most of the time. Like, yeah, it's the name doesn't inherently target what it is, and you can do whatever you want in roleplay. You can use it to tell a story, you can use it to simulate a world, and ultimately you can use it to smash out a game instead of just playing a computer game, because it's very different from playing a computer game. Anyone that just says go play a computer game, then you got to rethink then why you're playing, because you can roleplay by why don't you just go act? Go act. It's the same as role playing, isn't it? No, it's not.
Yeah,
It's
why don't you
very
play
different.
drama games?
Yeah, well, yeah, just go out and act. Go become an actor. You know, you like role playing so much, but it's like, oh no, it's different. Yeah, it is different. So that's why they don't go play their computer game, because they like playing in a role playing field. Even though, I mean, sure, they play it similar to a video game, and I will admit that, but that's fine. That's what they want to do. Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, and I'm gonna. This is like a kind of. This is a butchered quote by Gary Gygax, and I think it's very apt though. He made his game, and what role playing was to him was a cooperative experience amongst a group, and that's what it should be. It doesn't matter how the fuck you play. I'm not saying you have to accept your power gamer, like if you're mad at them, but don't go around spewing crap like they're poison killing a hobby just because you don't like the way they play. That's wrong. You know, I mean, maybe you should start looking at other options, find other people. But like Blas said, different strokes for different folks. Because ultimately, what we're all looking to do is sit down with a group of people and enjoy ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming into this trying to pollute this game. They just want to they want to do the same thing as you. They want to have fun and enjoy themselves.
Yeah. And I mean, so what if you didn't accept it? There's plenty of different ways that people play RPGs that I don't like. I'm not going to speak out and say you shouldn't do that. I'm just never going to allow it at my table.
Yeah, it's the thing. When you're the dungeon master at your table, your rules are whatever your rules are. But I never think it's right to tell someone their way of having fun is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just different from yours.
Anyway, that was something about tabletop on our rambly discussion on, I guess, power gaming, and at least in defense of any style of play that you do. Unless, of course, you are physically torturing and killing people, you should probably rethink that how you're playing RPGs, and you should probably stop. So I guess all in all, viva la power gamer, viva la the narrativist, viva the simulationist. Play how you want to play, different strokes for different folks, and don't do drugs.
Yeah, I don't have much to say other than that. I mean, to be fair, to me, it's like so long as you're not emotionally or physically hurting someone, then how you play is fine with me. I mean, like, I might not necessarily like it, but there are people and there are like-minded people anywhere, so don't necessarily think that you'll never find a group without X. You will eventually find a group of people you fit in with if you look hard enough.
And luckily there's things like the one-shot group and stuff like that. Play some one-shots, get to know some people, and eventually you will find the group that you love. We are happy that we have real-world groups where we have very similar mindsets, and we're lucky for that. So we hope that you can find that as well.
Yes, and even with a similar mindset, not all of us have the exact same playstyle either. Even amongst our own group, we have varying different playstyles, and we still able to get along without murdering each other.
Yeah, I mean, we're not that far removed from the center, though, in my opinion, from, like, in terms of the spectrum. But yeah. Alrighty, see you later. I'm Master Blah.
And I am Hobo.
Get back to the streets. I paid you your $5.
Yes.
Now I can buy food.
More like methamphetamines.
$5. Good luck.